And we're back. Happy NBA season. This is my first ever preseason show because I've never done much of the preseason, but I am so excited about the NBA being back. I can't help myself, Sheets. I'm excited about it. Any first thoughts on the season or what we're going to be doing, in terms of preseason builds and all that?
Yeah, so I actually think it's important to play the preseason for the same reasons that it's important for the NBA players to play the preseason. They want to get tight. They want to remember what it's like to play. They want to see what their opponents look like. They want to just kind of get used to it. They've been doing other stuff in the last couple of months, and some of them haven't played a competitive game of basketball since March, right?
Mm-hmm.
The teams that didn't make the bubble, they haven't played in forever. So it's important for them to play and get tight and whatever. So I feel as also from a DFS perspective, we haven't played an NBA slate in a while, and we haven't played, I guess, a regular NBA slate in quite a while, right? Because we've had those four gamers that seem to go like every day with the same matchups, and it's just kind of different. So I am going to play. I'm going to play every slate every day. I'm obviously not going to play with that much, but just to flex my, get loose, whatever it is, and remind myself of how to build lineups in NBA, work on my spreadsheets and all that stuff. And because it is a different type of build, and then each sport's different from each other, So I also want to learn the players a little bit. So it'll force me to kind of watch a little bit and game log a little bit, where it used to be I literally wouldn't even watch the preseason or even pay attention to it at all. So, So first of all, you haven't really ever played preseason. I haven't really ever. I guess I presume that what's most important, like anything in NBA, is to figure out somehow who's going to get minutes, right? And who's going to get rested and whatever. Now, it seems to me, okay, this is my dumb beginner logic, is that, there are going to be people that are announced out, like LeBron and AD and whomever. But you'd also like to think that the older veterans in general they're not going to run them out there. And if they do, it's not going to be for that long, right?
Right. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I actually have played some preseason in the past, but it's been a while. And like you said, I did it was mostly with that same focus in mind. I do think you're looking for the young guys, the teams that this is a unique situation, obviously, but the guys who had a lot of time off, you know what I mean? We talked pre-show a little bit, and maybe we can sort of get into it through this, but like you were mentioning about the Knicks, hearing something about potentially getting their young guys, and I think that makes a lot of sense. RJ Barrett would be a guy who makes a lot of sense. Mitchell Robinson, we're expecting a lot bigger of a year from him this year. So those are two guys who jumped out to me, but I do think it is trying to find the young guys or the guys with new teams who might get 24 minutes so they can try or 22 minutes or whatever, just so they can try and get, familiar. And they're still too cheap. Like Bogdanovich would be another one for Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely.
And along with guys like Schroeder, who, look, it may just be a preseason game. He may only play X number of minutes or whatever, but you have no LeBron and AD, and he's the only other real creator on their team. And you imagine with the new team, he'd probably want to show off a little bit. So I think you're going to see Schroeder have a.
So let's go through the games, and so remind us of who plays for these teams, or remind us what we're looking for.
Okay.
And now, just so you know, if you guys, I don't know if you know this, have you looked at the FanDuel salaries?
I have not looked at FanDuel salaries.
I am going to show you the FanDuel salaries. Okay,
Bring it up for us.
I think it's a pretty. You tell me if I'm wrong. I think it's first of all, $20K for first, right?
Okay.
I feel as though the salaries are soft, but you can tell me. So let me just. So you tell me if these salaries you think are soft or not.
Okay.
You watching?
Let's do it. I'm watching, but you haven't put your screen up yet.
Oh, I haven't? Okay,
yeah.
So here are the salaries for FanDuel.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
Everybody in every game is 100.
Oh my goodness.
$4 buy-in, $20K for first. It's a pure projection contest. You know what I mean? Like, who's going to score the most points?
So this is before your time. There was a site called Fantasy Feud.
Okay.
You could pick your teams regardless of whatever, and they'd have their projections and everything. I made the first year I played. I think off of one $200 deposit on that site. Never ever deposited again.
Uh,
They made about $175,000.
are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
because you could pick these things out, and there was always these huge gaps in what they were counting, on their projections that were wrong. And people
Right.
use it too much as gospel, even if they had other projection systems. Things weren't as developed as they are now, but that's what this is like. So we basically just got to pick the guys we expect to have the highest fantasy points,
Right.
which sounds simple,
But ownership too.
yeah,
Don't forget.
ownership, yeah. Do you think we're going to be able to get actual ownership projections on some of these things?
No way.
It's too impossible, right?
Yeah, you can guess, right? I mean,
Yeah.
all right.
But,
So let's go game by game, and
yeah.
let's see what. So first of all, Orlando. Let's look at each team. So Orlando, that's like a big news. But one bit of news: they did draft Cole Anthony in the first round. And again, you think about young guys they want to get a look at, right? They drafted him in the first round, and kind of sneaky little thing that you notice about the Orlando lineup. First of all, Terrence Ross is out, and DJ Augustine is gone.
Right.
So Cole Anthony's going to be a guy they're going to probably. That's pretty cruel to make him a full 4,800, but nonetheless, I mean, I think they're going to run him out there and see what he can do. Didn't have too much interest in this, but let's just take a look at these. So Cole Anthony 4,800, Fultz 5. I don't know how much they're going to play Vooch. If you want to know the truth, but the other guy who's out is Mo Bamba. So with Mo Bamba out, maybe you play Kem Birch in the spot. And this is the way I used to think about this, right? So one center, the backup center is out. You play the second backup center, and considering that Vooch might not play a full run, or maybe he will, I don't know, but maybe Birch is a way to go. Aaron Gordon, 7,300. So these other guys are out. Aminu remains out. Isaac remains out. So you want to think in the future about what guys would take their place. Fournier, we're going to be back to playing and fading him this year. I'm just going to look at the lineup or whatever. Fultz, 5K. So I really didn't have much of an interest in this, but I might throw a lineup in with Cole Anthony.
Yeah, I get the Anthony thing. I also would understand it. I think Markelle Fultz would make probably a little more sense to me, but I do get I think Cole Anthony, yeah, they want to see what they've got, all that. I think that's totally fine, and they're basically the same price anyway. You're high on Anthony, and I like him. I want to learn more about him, because I actually was listening to one of my preseason shows last night, and you had already said this to me earlier in the day. Hey, Cole Anthony's the sneaky, when we did our other show, our future show.
Sneaky rookie of the year, yeah.
Rookie of the year, yeah. And that was the first guy that was mentioned by a guy who I really respect, Kevin O'Connor, as a potential sneaky one, and sort of got laughed off by the other guys.
Oh, really?
But I thought that was kind of an interesting one, because there is really room for him to develop into a spot in this Orlando rotation. But as far as this particular game goes, I think the only guy I'm really have interest in is Vucevic, and it's simply for no other reason than he actually has a pretty decent outscoring every other center possibility, I think, even if he only plays 20 minutes.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going with Vucevic. I don't think I'm going to play these other guys in this game. I think they're going to rotate everything around like everybody will. But if it was, it'd be Fultz. Like you said, Fultz or Anthony would be the other two. There's just a lot of guards you really like on this slate, which that's going to be a common theme all year long. We're going to like a lot of guards. We're going to hope a lot of people have certain forward eligibility in certain positions. Some guys there's a lot of really, really good guards in the league this year.
Hold on. We're gonna pull this up right here.
Yeah.
There we go. This is
Cole Anthony?
Yeah, this is number 3 on Brown. And this is Coach Sheets Haber over here. And this is Cole Anthony with the steal. And the dunk. There it is. There it is.
Wait, where are you?
Here.
There you are.
Yeah. So he's one of 2 pros that I've coached against, him and Moses Brown. So we will.
That's awesome.
We're gonna follow him. All right. What do you think of? Okay, so let's look at Atlanta. So Chris Dunn is now on the team, which it's such a really nice, obvious pickup by Atlanta, right? I mean that they need help on the defensive end. They pick up Chris Dunn. I think that's a really, really good pickup. But he is out just for this particular game. But something to look at. They got Rondo. That's kind of a weird.
They have a million weird things.
That's a weird thing. So the guys you look for, the guys that were kind of like poised to improve off of last year. We'll get to Bogdanovich in a second, but is Cam Reddish? He's probably 4,200. Maybe Cam Reddish. And who's the other guy?
DeAndre Hunter.
DeAndre Hunter, right? So I would look again for those two to get continued minutes improvement over the course of this season. And maybe, I don't know, you really do want to look at Twitter and look at notes for to see who's going to be getting minutes, and coach speak and things like that. But those are guys I'm looking at. And I also want to say that Trae Young, I mean, remember, he hasn't played in a long time. He's probably really horny to play. And remember, Atlanta during the whole last season wasn't shy about his minutes in the first place, right? So maybe they run him out for extra minutes. I don't know. And then I definitely think, you mentioned him before, that they definitely want to see what they have with Bogdanovich, because that's, we've been talking about him being a really good pickup for pretty much everybody over the last couple of years. And, hey, I think Bogdanovich can have a really good year with Trae getting him the ball. So we will see how that works. But again, these are the guys. I don't know. You want to play these guys today? You mentioned Bogdanovich. You want to play him today, maybe?
Yeah. So I do, but I would definitely play Bogdanovich today. I think that he's the easiest play, or one of the easiest plays for me. I think they're going to want to have him out there. The price is not accurate to his role with this specific team. I do want to just say what Atlanta did in the offseason while everybody else is applauding it. I think it was ridiculous. I understand trying to improve themselves, and I think they made some good moves too. But you can't play 15 guys. There are 15 guys on this team that are literally borderline starters, most of them. And they're not going to get a package to trade all these guys because they don't have, DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish. People aren't beating down the doors where they would have been beating down the doors for the number 4 and number 9 pick. I think they really did a bad job, in my opinion. But I do think overall the franchise is headed in the right direction. They're going to win more games, so it's going to look good. But there's just too many crossover players. You've got Capella, and then why you go out and get a guy I really liked, Danilo Gallinari. But I just don't know how these guys are all going to fit. In terms of tonight's slate, though, I mostly think it's just going to be Trae Young for me and Bogdanovich. I don't know that Reddish and Hunter are any better than, Kuzma's 4,400, for example. RJ Barrett's 4,700. I would rather play those guys by a long shot over Reddish and Hunter because they're pretty low usage guys. Trae Young, just because of the usage, I have him as the number 2 overall scoring player on the slate, even in limited minutes. So I think that he's you want him or Lillard, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's just, or Vooch, because Vooch is the center. But I think it's just Trae Young and Bogdanovich for me.
Okay, let's go on to this next game, which is where I was going to start.
Yeah.
So what looks to be a really good play is on the Detroit side is Killian Hayes. They've already pretty much mentioned that they're going to be starting him off as a starting point guard. And if they're announcing that he's going to be a starting point guard, they are going to be playing him. You know what I mean? So, I mean, whoever he is, if he's like a point guard that's starting, you know what I mean? Like at 4,400, you probably have to play him. I don't know anything about him from college. Is he coming from college? I don't even know.
No, French. Killian Hayes is, in my opinion, the best player in this draft.
Oh, there you have it.
I think he's going to be really, really good. I just think he's too young for me to say that about him right now.
Well, what's him for rookie of the year?
He was somewhere around 8.5 to 1, I believe.
Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. He's not like some really wild off the board play. Okay.
No. They took him with the 7th overall pick, which people call it stretch. But there's a lot of analysts that I know that thought he was the best player in the draft by not just the best player, but by like a significant amount the best player.
So what's interesting to me is the New York side. So they picked up. They had a really big pickup this year from a fantasy perspective, and that person is the coach. Okay. So Thibodeau is just he is the exact opposite of the Knicks coaches in the last couple of years with respect to fantasy. Like the Knicks coach in the last couple of years, you can count on them to do absolutely nothing. Like you can count on them. You can never count on them to play anybody a certain amount of minutes, and you just never knew what was going on. Thibodeau plays his dudes, okay? And so if the Knicks have quote unquote dudes to play, right? He will play them. And, just kind of eyeballing their lineup this year, they've already announced they really want Obi Toppin to be starting at the 3, their new toy.
Yep.
And, RJ Barrett and Elf Payton and Randall and Mitch Robinson, that to me seems like a really solid starting 5. And if that's the case, they're going to be running with those guys like the whole season. I mean, or until further notice, right? One other kind of cool pickup they did pick up Nerlens Noel, by the way, over the offseason also. And, when you got a guy like Mitchell Robinson who fouls out in, 21 minutes, it's good to have a backup center. So I feel as though with RJ Barrett and all these Knicks haven't played in a while, they're really ready to play something. And the fact that Thibodeau wants to play guys anyway, I don't know what he does in the preseason, but they want to get OB out there. They want to get RJ out there. I kind of sarcastically put like 5 Knicks in this first lineup here, just to kind of remind me how much I want to play them. And to me is the team and minutes that, without hearing any coach speak or whatever, I'm kind of most confident about.
I love the theory, and I think that's what you want to try and do in these slates is try and figure out a spot just like that. We also know Thibodeau from his past. I thought you made a really good point. And I think that, like, if you're playing season-long stuff, you want to have interest in these Knicks because, like you said, they're going to play minutes. It's not going to be the situation where they're rotating everybody 24 minutes a game like they did at times last year. Like Julius Randle will stand out to me early in the season as a guy we want to play all the time because I think if you put that guy in a normal role where you're not just somehow – like they would do weird stuff last year that just didn't make any sense. And Mitchell Robinson would be another one who I think is going to see a huge boost this year. And I think that you're right on. I think that's what you want to try and do. It's tricky when you try and figure out, okay, Toppin versus Kuzma, for example, tonight.
Right.
Toppin versus even Barrett. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's sort of the only issue. The only reason I wouldn't play him, but still absolutely love him. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to. You want full transparency?
Yes.
I'm probably going to play 20 lineups, and I'm going to script them in a certain way. I'm going to make sure that I would say all of them have min 2. I'll say 5 of them have mid and will have mid 3. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to 20 mid 1, 5 min 2, 5 min 3. That's what I think I'm going to do with these numbers.
I like it, man. I think that's awesome. I really do. I love that.
Give it a shot.
Get to it. Why not?
Yeah.
I can get behind all of that.
Is Blake Griffin going to play?
I don't think so. I don't have him on my projected list. Let me double check that because I think I might have overlooked him. I think he might be playing actually.
Okay.
But I mean, he's a guy who, like, early on in the season and in preseason, even if whether he's playing or not, he's not a guy I'm going to get heavily involved with. No, he's not. Oh, we do have min tonight, but like even the minutes projection for him is lower because coming off the injuries he's had and sort of being older, I think that you're going to see especially early in the season, they're going to sort of ease him a little bit more into it. Jeremy Grant is another guy who fits the category. They did just sign him.
Jeremy Grant's on the team, huh?
Yeah, so Jeremy Grant, like, versus Toppin in itself is, to me, a pretty interesting – or Barrett, however you want to slice it. All of those are really interesting to me, and I think that you can just rotate these guys around because I don't think we have a good enough feeling on the first preseason game what's going to be what. But Jeremy Grant with a new team on a huge contract, you think they would let him go a little bit, right?
Yeah, I guess not.
I mean, so I would probably rank him just barely ahead of Obi Toppin personally, because I think they're going to want him to go out there and they're going to want him to have some fun and do his thing.
Yeah.
So that's where I am with him. Go ahead.
You want to move on, or?
Yeah, let's move on. I think that is the game. That and this next game are the games I think we want to attack the most, in my opinion.
Okay.
So go ahead. You want to start with Houston?
So first of all, where do you think Harden's going to end up?
Honestly, with everything that's happened, I think it might be Houston.
That's interesting.
Because I don't know if Daryl Morey is any longer willing to trade Ben Simmons for him.
He's not in our level.
Sorry about that quick little break here, a little technical difficulty, and a lot of family running around because we.
Wow, listen to that. That's a lot of activity there.
There's a lot of activity when it comes lunchtime and dinner time. There's definitely a lot of people around. All right, getting back to it, I do think Harden will end up probably. I mean, the most logical thing would be Philly, but I just don't know if they're going to make that Ben Simmons move for him anymore because people don't trust Harden anymore. And if he's not going to sign an extension right away and not do this trade demanding stuff that he's been up to, I think they're too nervous. So I personally don't I don't know where he'll end up, but I think it's harder for Houston to trade him than I thought. I mean, I heard of a rumor that they wanted Jamal Murray and some other assets. I don't know if Porter was included, but they said Murray is untouchable to Denver. And I just can't believe Denver could win the title if they had Harden. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I heard that was a rumor, but if they're not even willing to do it, that makes me feel like the rest of the league is probably not willing to do it either, with the exception of maybe Brooklyn. And as far as tonight goes, Sheets, I think with Houston, I think we have to play Christian Wood and see what happens. I could see them giving, a new team kind of a thing. He gets some run. I think Eric Gordon always will get his 20 minutes. They like to keep him pretty consistent, so I think he's a fine play, but just sort of prefer the other small forwards better than him.
How are they going to play this year?
What's that?
How is Houston going to play this year?
What do you mean, how are they going to play?
What style? I mean, what are they going to look like?
They're going to look like Christian Wood and DeMarcus Cousins up front. They're going to go. It's like the opposite of last year. And you're going to have down low. You're going to have in the backcourt. You're going to have Harden and Wall if Harden ever plays or whatever. And Eric Gordon will be the small forward guy. And Daniel House. They're going to be a solid team. They're the team that also what we mentioned in the over/under bets. They're projected to be under 500 this year, which will never ever happen if James Harden is on the team.
Well, if he's on the team.
And even if he's not, they're not going to be 500, but they're not going to be like the doormat of the league.
Are you expecting a good season out of John Wall?
I am. I've heard good things, and I heard his speed is back. And John Wall has always been a guy who, look, I was lower on him because I didn't think he was a top 15 player in the league, but I thought he's always was a top 25 player. Maybe now he's only top 30 or 40. That's still a pretty good player in this league. So I think he'll have a good year.
So I think we.
I don't think we need anything to Houston. I do want to mention on Chicago's side of it.
I was about to get there. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Sheets. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna get right into it, man. I'm gonna start playing these guys. I'm gonna start playing Kobe White. I'm gonna start playing Zach LaVine. I'm gonna start playing Wendell Carter. Maybe a little Lauri Markkanen. I mean, go right back to playing these dudes. We just where we left off last year, right? I mean, Lauri had a weird year, right? He was off for like a while with an injury. And then he came back in a couple of good games, but you just felt as though he never had a real shot to play a full season, sort of.
Right.
And so, I'm looking at him to have a good season. Kobe White, him and.
He's got the Kobe White with the green check mark. We're not used to seeing that.
I think they're going to try to do something. I would imagine along the lines of what they did. I forget where, but where they stagger these guys a little. I think they're going to have LaVine and Kobe White. One of them in the game, all the time.
Yeah, but they actually, what's funny is their numbers were not as negatively correlated as you'd think last year. I did some research on that because I was looking at Kobe White's last 20 games, which he averaged like almost 25 real life points a game. I mean, it was really incredible. But Zach LaVine was going just as crazy in those same games, both playing around 40 minutes. So I'm going to root for this Bulls team. I think they've got a lot of fun young guys. For tonight's purpose, I think that Zach LaVine would be the one you want the most of. I'm okay with Carter. I'm really okay with Carter. I just think that, you can get money's not really that big of a thing, so I just rather play Luch.
Yep. Okay, so this game's a freaking shit show, right? So Lakers, Clippers, everybody's sitting, right? So I am they gave him a $226 million contract. I have to tell you, man, at least the Clippers aren't results oriented. I mean, how he collapsed during those playoffs. I mean, that was really, really bad. So at least they showed him they don't care too much about short-term performance. I can't imagine either him or Kawhi playing enough minutes to justify their price tags.
I do think they'll both play, though.
Okay, that's fair enough.
My early read, but I don't think you'll see more than a few minutes. But I'm not sure about Kawhi.
Well, let's look at these guys. So who's on the team? Did they even add anybody? They added Ibaka.
They got Serge. Yeah.
So they basically got Ibaka, and then they gave up Harrell to the Lakers, sort of.
Yeah, it's a bump up, but everybody else improved, and they didn't really do much. I don't think they needed to do that much, to be honest with you. They need team chemistry, they need organization, they need coaching, they need some sort of a leader, they need an alpha dog on their team, which they don't really have. So Tyronn Lue actually is probably going to have to be that guy for them. And I still put the Clippers right behind Milwaukee as the third favorites to win the title, but it's only because there is an immense amount of talent on this team. And I just don't know how it all plays out, how it looks in real life. But tonight, as far as tonight goes, there will be no Clippers on any of my lineups.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see any reason. I'm even looking through and just trying to get a sense of what the season's going to be like.
Sure.
It's nothing too exciting, really.
No, they're going to be a really tough team to play for fantasy ever because they don't have like there's not the motivation for the regular season. Maybe you'll see Paul George a little bit undervalued and early on, maybe trying to prove some things to some people. So I think he might be a guy we look out for early in the season.
What do you want to do with the Lakers? You want to play like Alex Caruso or something?
Do we need to is do any of this stuff? So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, wouldn't I just rather play Kuzma or Schroeder? This is fine because I don't need to save anything. Thornton Tucker would make a lot of sense to me. Taylor Horton Tucker.
Oh, he's the draft pick or the rookie or whatever?
Yeah, he's just the guy. I mean, like, he's going to – I don't know how many minutes he's going to play. I think we're playing a guessing game with all these guys in terms of tonight. And they have a lot of bodies. So they're probably going to play literally all 12 guys, around the same number of minutes. So I think we mostly leave it, except for Kuzma and Schroeder, who are the only ones of anybody on this whole roster who can actually get their own shot. There's not another player on this team other than those two guys who can get their own shot. So, I mean, I'm looking through it. It's actually hilarious. I've never seen a team with this little ability to shot create. So Kuzma and Schroeder should have very high usage rates for even the 20 minutes they're in the game. So I like both those guys.
Okay.
Last one.
Yeah, I'll take a shot with Harold probably. I mean, it is first time against the Clippers.
I didn't even do the revenge thing for some reason. Wow, weird. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Even though it's preseason, it is still first time against the Clippers. And that he feels as though the Clippers didn't give him enough run over there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And he's been vocal about it afterwards.
Yeah. Sack Portland. I mean, are these guys all going to play? I mean, like, is Lillard going to play enough to get him at 8,700? I guess, right?
Well, I mean, like we have to spend somewhere, right? So
yeah.
I do think Lillard makes a lot of sense. I actually have downgraded him a little bit because I heard something about him playing less minutes. And initially, he was the guy I really wanted to get. I think Trae Young and De'Aaron Fox are the guys you actually want. Does that make a little bit of sense, Sheets?
Yeah. And what's his name's not in yet. Is Bagley going to be playing? He's unlikely to play. Oh, COVID? I mean, the dude, like, he's injured all the freaking time, and now he gets COVID? I mean, come on, man.
I think it was you who pointed it out to me. I think you're accurate. He is the play. I mean, I feel like the most improved player award should be his if he plays 50 games. You know what I mean? 50 out of 70. He's just so talented and so much better than people give him credit for. And, he'll always have the thing of being drafted ahead of Luka, but he's in real life a guy who could be a 20-10 guy in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So we've got, anyways, for me in this, like, I like Fox. The best other play, both centers are really interesting because Kanter's going to end up starting tonight for Portland, and I think they'll give him some minutes because they sort of, even if he just plays, he's one of those guys though. In 20 minutes, he puts up 40 fantasy points all the time, so he should be one of the guys you'd consider. But the same thing is the other guy who's most like that is Rashawn Holmes, and he gets the great matchup against Kanter, who's not going to box him out, who's not going to be able to keep up with him. So both those guys should have the opportunity for big games. Do you need those savings in that spot? Probably not. No. But they're the two guys I have interest in after De'Aaron Fox. And oddly enough, of all my projections, I've gone through two sites only, not no others. But of the highest minute projection I have for any player on the slate is Anthony Simons.
Wow, that's interesting.
That sort of has been the trend throughout most of the other stuff. So Simons, maybe we can argue Simons could be potentially a better play than Killian Hayes, but they're probably right in the same range. I think both of them get minutes. But
wow, Anthony Simons.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that the reason why is people did some research, and I look back at it too. He tends to get more run in the preseason than almost anybody who's a part of a rotation. And it's
we talked him up a little bit last year. I mean, you turned me on to him at the beginning of the year that, like, he's got some talent. I don't know who if he was ready last year, who knows? But he definitely has talents. He showed flashes, right? Maybe, just through your natural development, he could be a guy. Well, first of all, he could certainly be a guy to play, going forward. And maybe, like you said, I mean, if someone's telling you that he's got a big minutes projection, maybe they know a little something, and I'll take a shot.
Well, I thought of it too at first, and then I think that I really started to think it makes even more and more sense. Yeah, he probably is one of the best plays on this slate. I swear, I think that of those 4K-ish guys, you have him, Killian Hayes, and then you've got both guys in this game, both centers, that I have as the best value. Not that you need all the value, but there's huge upside. There's like 40 fantasy point upside for all of these guys. And I think Simons really has a floor of about 20 in this matchup. So I like Simons quite a bit. Long story long, I guess.
All right, so I would say, again, I wouldn't advise to play all too much, but if you're the type of person that really wants to scour the internet and just be on top of like different like announcements and you hear something that somebody's going to get like full run or something like that, you can get a really, really decent sized edge in some of these preseasons. Now, again, I don't have that kind of energy. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just kind of like treating the preseason, like I said, like my own preseason.
Right.
Just kind of like just seeing who I think is going to do well and just kind of playing. But there's certainly edge out there. And the fact is also a lot of sites don't even have their projections rolling yet. So you get a little bit of advantage there.
Yeah.
Like for example, if there are no projections out like ever at all, I think we would do really well. Because we kind of figure it out.
Well, I did that. I mean, the first 3 years of DFS, that's what I did.
Yeah. So yeah, I will just recap again. And I think this is a pretty good idea, especially for the preseason, is to pick some almost like showdown, like pick some theme, pick some narrative, pick whatever. And my thing is that okay, I think the Knicks are going to roll out these guys and play with them. And if they do, then I'm really going to be ahead of the field on this, Yeah. And if they don't, I lose, whatever. But I'll have some liners with only one of them, so I'll be able to make it up elsewhere. And the other thing I want to think about thematically is I want to play guys, if I can, that didn't play in the bubble, right? Because they're just more excited to play. Like guys like Trae Young, Zach LaVine. I totally forgot Chicago didn't even make the playoffs, right? Did Sacramento make it in? No, they didn't make it.
No, they were in the bubble. I'm sorry.
They were in the bubble?
Yeah.
Were they in the bubble didn't make the final 8? Is that what happened? I forget what happened.
Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs.
Okay. And Portland didn't make it either, right?
Portland did make it. They made the playoffs. They lost the Lakers in the first round.
I would play the Knicks. I would, if I knew who to play on Detroit, I would probably try them the same thing. But I think they're just hopeless right now. Obviously I'll play the rookie there. But yeah, Chicago, Atlanta. I think those two teams are going to be rolling out some dudes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think one thing we have to tell people is we're going to hear about who's going to play and who's not. Like Damian Lillard right now, I've seen his minutes trend down twice today. I haven't looked into all the details while we've been doing this show, but there's an outside chance he just doesn't – some guys like that just don't even play. So just keep an eye out for that kind of thing.
So you know what you do? I mean, you could play something, and remember that is the 10:30 game.
Yeah, you play stocks.
So you could late swap out of that.
Yeah, easily. Just make sure to pay attention though, because there might not be the same alerts for the preseason that we get for the regular season. There usually isn't.
Hey, and the other thing I will say, I mean, again, this is our first video of an NBA. Be prepared, man, because as the late COVID news that comes out is bad enough in football and bad enough in baseball, whatever. And the general NBA trend of like late NBA injury news coming out is bad enough also. But combining those two together, this could be a really screwed up season. You can have teams that lose 4 guys, really, and almost trend on forfeiting. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be crazy because it's not like football where you can bring 50 guys to roster 50 guys on your team, and if 5 of them are out, you can play. I mean, if an outbreak comes within a team and they actually do follow these protocols, they're going to be forfeits. They're just going to be. Are they really going to make them play if 6 guys are eligible? I mean, we'll see.
No, it's going to be interesting. I think we'll get a feel for that one pretty quickly in the season. But Sheets, I'm excited about this. It'll be fun to do all year with you. Guys, we appreciate you guys, hanging out with us. I wanted to just really quick throw out my the 5 guys who I expect to score the most. And I don't think you should worry too much about money. But the 5 guys who I expect to score
let's do this right now. So we're going to do this right now. So let's see who's going to score the most. Go ahead.
Trae Young, Vucevic.
Hold on. We're going to put in this lineup right here.
Okay.
We're going to put in the FanDuel. Trae Young. Who else?
Vucevic.
Fox.
Levine. Christian Wood. Then I would jump over to Kuzma and Schroeder.
As just the raw points.
I have other guys ahead of them, but I don't trust those ones.
Kuzma?
Like Damian Lillard is one who's ahead of these guys, but I still am I'm starting to question even if he's going to play like 18 minutes.
Schroeder. Who else? Give me two more.
John Collins.
Oh, I need a forward. Shit. I totally
Not John
forgot.
Collins.
Small
think
forward.
Oh, you forward?
Small forward.
Small forward. Okay.
Paul George, no.
No.
Cam Reddish?
I would put Eric Gordon or Bogdanovich I think he's shooting guard only on FanDuel.
Yeah. DeAndre Hunter. You know what? I'll pick DeAndre.
How about or Obi Toppin if he's there? I mean, I don't know who's a small forward on FanDuel.
Yeah, Obi Toppin is there. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this in. We're gonna leave 59,100 on the table.
As will everyone else.
As will everyone else. So you're not being unique doing that. And $4.44. If this wins, I will donate it to charity. There you go.
There you go. Boom. I didn't hear what you said. What you said you would donate to?
I'll donate to charity if this wins.
Okay, perfect. All right, man. Well, hey, this is fun. Guys, we'll have a great season. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards, and good luck, everyone, this year in NBA.
All right, good luck, man. I'll talk to you later.